There have been renewed calls for stricter financial regulations on Wall Street. New rules had been put in place during Obama's first term, but as John Terrett reports, there's been little drive to implement them.
July 2010, and President Obama signs the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Bill. At its core, the Volcker Rule, which says banks shouldn't use their own cash to make risky market bets. Last week, Jamie Dimon of Jpmorgan Chase was forced to admit one of his traders had done what the Volcker Rule, which is yet to be actually implemented, was supposed to stop, and used bank funds for a market bet that cost the company an eye-watering $2 billion. The reason Jpmorgan can get round the Dodd-Frank recommendations is that much of what they wrote has yet to be put into effect. Everyone from the president on down talks a good talk about financial regulation, and yet nothing ever seems to actually change. Two reasons for this. One, this is an election year, so there's a lot of campaigning and less legislating going on. And two, all the major financial institutions spend a lot of money in Washington, mostly on lobbying. And banks like Jpmorgan have been lobbying against tighter regulation.
So now I say to people, when I say you shouldn't be lobbying, I say, well, I thought that was you tell me I can't exercise my constitutional rights. We are going to.
But Jpmorgan also spends heavily on election campaign contributions, with donations from employees, their family members, and its own political action committee. According to InfluenceExplorer.com, in 2011-12, Jpmorgan gave 65% of its campaign contributions to the Republican Party, 35% to the Democratic Party, and within that, $356,000 went to Republican frontrunner Mitt Romney, $64,000 to President Obama. Analysts agree, in Washington, money talks.
An industry can effectively buy legislation. It can buy legislation that in turn promotes the profitability of that particular industry.
Barack Obama.
As late as Monday evening in New York, President Obama, who is promising to investigate Jpmorgan, went from this public fundraiser to a behind-closed-doors event at the home of the man behind the U.S.'s largest private equity firm.
I'm here to ask.
Politicians, it seems, need Wall Street as much as Wall Street nations. And in an election year especially, reform has to wait a bit. John Terrett, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Now to Brazil.